today's video, what is mansplaining?
Mansplaining is a bit like man-spreading, that other awful word.
Attacking people on the basis of their race?
California. Look, don't rewrite the history that I grew up.
I'm not.
Comedy and censorship, a dangerous mix?
Welcome to the Trump era.
Stay tuned.
I think they definitely do need me. I'm on my way.
Do women actually need protection, or is this a sign of political correctness going too far? Well, just joining me to discuss, Peter Lloyd, the author of Stand By Your Manhood.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but there will always be something to offend a feminist.
Peter Lloyd.
No, that's just obnoxious.
Peter
Sorry,
Lloyd,
you have to give me a chance to respond to that. That is ridiculous.
A game changer for modern men, and the broadcaster Rosie Millard. Good to see you both. Rosie, don't women really need to just toughen up? And if somebody is being patronising, say, sorry, you're being patronising, please stop. We don't need a helpline, do we?
Well, I think mansplaining is a bit like man-spreading, that other awful word. Except if you can imagine, rather than their legs being apart, it's their kind of like can-do sensibility encroaching into women's area.
Point of personal privilege, or should that be interjection? What is manspreading? Well, The Independent states, according to the online Oxford Dictionary, manspreading describes the practice whereby a man adopts a sitting position with his legs wide apart, in such a way as to encroach on an adjacent seat. It is a behaviour that is commonly spotted on public transport. Many were quick to condemn that practice when it first came onto the rhetorical scene in 2014, as representative of a misogynistic patriarchy. I.e., a man takes up as much space as possible on public transport in order to assert his authority and subsequently undermine a woman's right to space. Or could manspreading be down to other reasons, such as this one, beautifully illustrated by BuzzFeed?
And this does happen. I mean, mostly it happens to me when I'm driving, when men who I don't even know stop and say, help me to get into a corner or to park my car.
Well, that could mean one of two things. The first being they're just nice people, the second being you're a shit driver.
Or indeed, when I'm driving somewhere I know very well, my husband decides to tell me where to go. You know, go left, I go right when I'm driving to my parents' house.
Driver, and women are just as guilty of doing that as men. I do it all the time.
Does that also mean that sat-navs are misogynistic and women-splainers?
I think that it does undermine. I think women can be undermined in the workplace, in the office, and I think if there's a helpline to allow them to vent a bit of steam, or just to find out that there are other women who also feel anxious because their words aren't being taken as authority, that they always need to defer to someone else. I think it's quite helpful to find that you're not alone in feeling deeply frustrated about it.
Hello? Yes? My colleague keeps mansplaining to me. What do I do? Have you tried turning him on and off again? Misogynist!
Peter Lloyd, it's helpful because women won't feel so alone. You're rolling your eyes. That's a very feminine thing to do, if I can say so.
I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I mean, how patronising to women. It's almost unbelievable. It's almost, ironic. Although that said, I actually welcome this helpline because it is firm proof of how divisive and vindictive feminism has become.
And I think also that, Peter, it is all very funny, but actually, if we're talking about a narrative, let's just have a look at the heads of state of the European Union. Let us see how many people there are actually female. Let us look at the heads of boards, of members of boards, of trustees on boards. There are so few in Britain that we now actually have a group, a device, an institution designed to get more women onto boards, because it is so, we have less female MPs than they do in Afghanistan.
Well, according to Catalyst.org, women's representation in the labour force is steadily increasing. More women are working than before. Today, more than two-thirds, 71.8% of women aged 16 to 64 are employed, the highest percentage since the Office of National Statistics began recording this data in 1971. By comparison, 80.3% of men aged 16 to 64 are working today. The increase in the number of working women is due in part to changes made to the state pension age for women, resulting in fewer women retiring between the ages of 60 and 65. All UK employees, not just parents of those with caregiving responsibilities, have the legal right to ask for flexible working arrangements after 26 weeks of employment. This includes options to work part-time from home, a compressed work week and phased retirement. Plus, regarding leadership, in 2018 women were 23.7% of those employed as chief executives and senior officials. In the same year, women were 37% of those employed as functional managers and directors. In 2018, the percentage of women on the FTSE 100 boards increased to 29%, with 305 women directors. The percentage of non-executive directors increased to 35.4%, with 280 women holding non-executive directorships positions. Furthermore, regarding Parliament, MPs are elected, not chosen, so that was a stupid argument. If you want to get more females into Parliament, maybe you should help them with their election campaigns, instead of bitching.
Isn't that a sexy... Aren't you woman-splaining by calling me mate? I'm just going back to your previous point.
It's because women feel undermined in the office.
Going back to your point about the electorate, women are the largest electorate in the country. If they wanted the government to be full of female MPs, they could vote them in. There isn't a secret plan to keep women out.
Monique Presley is a lawyer and a Democratic commentator.
Ah, yes, Monique Presley. Bill Cosby's former lawyer suspended indefinitely after allegedly misusing clients' funds. Ah, Monique Presley, the one who loves Joe Biden. Joe Biden's opponents on the left and right are spreading a disgusting and baseless smear that he is in cognitive decline based on verbal slip-ups he makes when trying to suppress his childhood stutter. It is absolutely ageist with him, especially because anyone who knows Joe knows he's been this slip-up and gaff-ridden but still savvy, smart, decent guy for decades. All they have to do is roll the tape. Ah, Monique Presley, the lady who really hates Trump. Biden candidacy with Bloomberg money. Trump is now officially in his worst nightmare. Hashtag, oh happy day.
Oh, happy day, Mama.
And she joins us now. Monique, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Totally opposed to, I think, I'm 48, I grew up in a country where you had to be, and most people I knew were totally opposed to attacking other people on the basis of their race because you can't control your race, right? You're not responsible for it.
You're saying you grew up in a country where most
that's where I grew up. That everyone said that at school. Most people I knew said they believed that. Maybe they didn't, but you kind of had to say that, and I believed it. I still believe it. Mm-hmm. Now I live in a world where the left still says that, and yet they do it and somehow exempt themselves from the normal rules. So you're racist, but when I attack you on the basis of your race, I'm not racist, I'm virtuous. How does that work? That seems insane to me.
I don't know how we end up in this kind of warped world where I end up doing the history lesson of history I know you know. But when you're saying you grew up in a world where people knew it was wrong to attack others on the basis of race, I'm wondering if you were in the United States of America.
I was. I was in La Jolla, California. Look, don't rewrite the history that I grew up in.
I'm not reliving.
I'm fully aware of that.
Okay.
But I'm 48. I'm not 78. That didn't exist where I grew up. I'm just telling you, this is just true. But the point is, I believed it. I still believe it. Why don't you believe it?
But we're just a year apart. And if you're saying because you're 48, not 78, are you saying that segregation, which really didn't formally end until we were already born?
It's wrong to attack people on the basis of the race. That's all I'm saying.
You know, when you say the left, I wonder who those people are.
I don't know. Every time I pull up BuzzFeed or Huffington Post or any lefty site, there's some piece about white people or a scourge on America. They're bad. It's like, I'm not defending white people. All I'm saying is you shouldn't write off any group of people on the basis of their race. I thought that was the definition of racism, and now it's very common.
And I, frankly, haven't read any articles that say white people are this or white people are that just on the basis of their race.
Let me stop you there, Monique. White people food is creating an unattainable picture of health. What's going on with America's white people? Are all white people racist? White men and the vote. Why we took the blog down. Huffington Post essay has removed the blog Could It Be Time to Deny White Men the Franchise? Published on our site on April 13th, 2017. Did they take it down because it was racist towards white people? No. We have done this because the blog submission from an individual who called herself Shelley Garland, she could have picked a better name, who claimed to be an MA student at UCT, cannot be traced and appears not to exist. Yup. That's why they took the article down. Opinion. Bernie Sanders is a straight white man. Does that matter? Jamila Jamil blasted straight white male comics who punch down on marginalised people. This is what white people sound like when ordering Mexican food. White people confess to crimes they've gotten away with after Eric Gardner decision. How white people made it big by getting government handouts. 37 things white people need to stop ruining in 2018. 18 tweets that prove that white people actually do have culture. Why do white people always want people of colour to perform their culture for them as entertainment? White gay men are destroying queer black lives with party and play, sex and meth addiction.
If you are white and you are also a bigot, if you are white and you are also a racist, then I've read many things that discuss a lack of understanding in this country.
You haven't heard anybody say in the
races.
last 10 years, too many white guys. It's just a white guy thing. You haven't seen any No, I'm serious.
Too many white guys that you won't be defending anymore since you've been suspended.
Too many white guys where, Tucker?
Anywhere. You haven't seen anyone really. So my question to you is, are you living in this country?
And that really wouldn't make sense for the past 10 years since the numbers of white males are decreasing in our country and the numbers of Latinos, African Americans, et cetera, are increasing.
So I guess
I have heard people talking about that balance and how that can be scary for those who are used to being in power.
Don't patronize me. I'm merely making a point that can we agree that it's always wrong, always, no matter who's doing it to whom, to dismiss people, attack them, judge them on the basis of immutable characteristics, racial characteristics, that they can't control, period.
Yes.
Kate, we'll start with you. We mentioned you. You're a comedian, obviously.
Although if you go to a website, it says comedian and activist. For example, I was in Tesco's last night and there was no hand wash but tons of shower gel, bars of soap and feminine intimate wash, aka minge rinse. Don't stop washing other parts of your body because you are concentrating on your hands, jeez. Keith Smurthwaite responds. It's perfectly safe to wash your face with minge rinse. My boyfriend has great skin. Kate, such a laugh. This is also the comedian who decided to respond to a tweet by Dave, a TV channel in the UK. Meet the Richardsons, John Richardson and Lucy Beaumont. We asked them to film a Twitter advert for their new show, which continues tonight at 10 PM on Dave. Kate responds, "Why is it called the Richardsons? Her surname is Beaumont. Referring to a woman by her husband's name, especially when she has clearly chosen not to take it, is outdated and patriarchal. Mind you, your channel is called Dave. I guess naming things after men is your bag, eh?" Morning, Kate. Lucy Beaumont wrote the show and they even discussed the subject of surnames in the show too. Hope this helps. Kate responds, "Oh, good to know. I do think you should change your channel name to Davina for International Women's Day and put on some bonus women-led comedies. Where shall I pitch mine?" This is also the comedian and activist who has a new tour called Bitch, but personally I think it looks 10 times better with my face on it.
Is it ever right to censor a performance?
Well, I think that it's kind of misleading here to suggest that what has happened in this case is a question of censorship. There are lots of comedy clubs, many of which I play at, that have a behavioural agreement in place. When I was excluded from performing at Goldsmiths, is that we have to be able to have a conversation about what those lines are and aside saying, yeah, of course, you should go and you should be allowed to have on some rules. Now, they're not the same rules that I would have drawn, but many of them essentially he's making a fuss as a publicity stunt because he thinks he can get a little bit of mileage out.
Lionel, I'm going to bring in Lionel, and if we broaden the discussion about censorship in general, because we've this debate it's a hot issue, isn't it? You know, what is censorship? Should people be restricted with their freedom of speech? And I ask you, Lionel, if you were having to sign a piece of paper restricting your views and your freedom of speech, would you do it?
Well, the first rule I wish we would allow here, perhaps I would consider, is brevity in answering the question. But I digress. Look, I want there to be more rules like this.
Oh, a face only a mother could love.
I want there to be rules that say you can't say anything as a comic that hurts anybody's feelings. You can't say anything that could, and I'm for this, because I want there to be absolutely no speech ever that discusses anything ever that could in any way ever insult, impugn, make offensive, or hurt people's feelings, because I want this insanity, not the thought police, but the thought vigilantes, because this is being imposed by citizens. I want it to just implode under its own weight.
Kate, are you losing your personality as a comedian by signing these agreements?
A comedian? Well, let's look at her video when Trump was elected.
Hello and welcome to the Trump era. Oh God, I can't believe I've actually said that.
And now let's look at some of the YouTube comments on her most recent video. What did you shoot and edit this video with, babe? We're in 2020, not 2002. Looks like someone doesn't have budget. Lol. Or work by the sound of it. All the time in the world to write, rehearse and refine a cleverly constructed comedy political presentation. And this is all the lazy talentless bint can do. Hello. Shite. Thanks. Oh, the unfunniest person in the world is back with 7 minutes 50 of painful bollocks.
No, not at all. In fact, there was absolutely a point where I'd go, I won't play that club because I don't want to be a part of it. In fact, I find the opposite problem is that so often I'm expected to play clubs, where there are other acts on the bill that are doing, horrific material about sexual violence and things like that. And it creates an atmosphere that I'm not having a great time, I'm not able to relax properly, and nor is the audience.
By the sounds of it, when you're on stage, there is no audience. Actually, by the sounds of it, it sounds like you're rarely on stage, mainly on YouTube. No, wait, I'm wrong. She is touring with her bitch tour.
And if I'm not relaxed, then the audience will feel that, and if the audience isn't relaxed, then I'll feel that. And it's not that these people should be banned from saying these words, it's that when you curate an event, you can make your own decision about what is and isn't okay, and there are absolutely things, I'm sure, that you wouldn't allow me to say on air. I know there are, and and Lionel the same, and so by coming on air, of course, we've agreed not to say those things. I'm not really sure what Lionel's point was. He's had an extensive career, and I congratulate him on that. I'm sorry I've not come across him before, but it's...
it's up down to every comedian to decide what kind of stuff they want to do, and if that means that they don't want to play, there are shows that I know where the comedians perform to children, and of course when you perform a show for children, there are kinds of subjects that you don't go near because it's a children's show. And personally, I don't do those shows because I don't write the kind of material that suits those events, and so I don't put myself
forward.
We're not talking
it's
about
not
that.
a question of... we
Hates me, are you?